Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and it's going to be a hot one today, so I'm working out in front of the sun, trying to beat the sun and get this job done before it hits this part of the garden. This is the hottest part of my garden, and it also has some ugly attributes. I don't know if you call them attributes, but we've got the meter box, we've got the AC. So I've planted it in such a way where it disguises a lot of these things, but the things that are disguising it, like the dahlias, are thirsty plants, especially on this side of the house. The southwest side of the house, it bakes, it dries out fast, and typically I would hand water things. I don't like to water things after they're established, so I don't like to fuss over things. But in this part of the garden, it really does need a little extra help. So to remedy that, I am going to be installing, I've got my hands full here, I've got a 50-foot soaker hose from Dramm. I've got a 25-foot lead hose that's this will connect directly to the hose bib on the side of the house. And I will use this to get the soaker hose in place, because there's no point attaching a soaker hose directly to the hose bib because there'll be so much water wasted, and I don't need it to start dripping until maybe for about 15 feet away from the hose. I've got some fabric pins that'll hold the soaker hose in place around the plants as I place it. And then my timer. This is another Dramm product. I think it times up to maybe over 2 hours actually, but what's really nice about it is I can run it as I need to. It's not one of those ones that goes on automatically. I hate seeing people with their sprinkler systems and things like that running when we have a rain or something like that. It's just such a waste. So this, I can set this timer for 30 minutes or whatever I feel is going to be adequate to water this area sufficiently, and then it shuts off on its own, and then I can just repeat it whenever I need to. So hopefully going to beat the sun and get this job done before it hits this part of the garden because it just bakes. So let's get to it. First, let me show you the connection here. So this is my hose bib. I have a double valve here so that I can run a regular hose as I need it, and then my soaker hose extension piece will attach to this. But I am going to run it all the way behind the U's here and the arborvitae. So that's going to be the hose part. That won't be the soaker hose when I've got some vine that needs to come out. But it's going to come all the way behind here and then behind the fence over here. And eventually it'll come out back here, and then I can start winding it. Then I can start winding my hose and tacking it into place around the dahlias here. And it'll go all the way back and then come through this area where I have roses and nymphophea and lots of lilies. I'm gonna avoid the lilies because I noticed I think these are Forever Susan lilies here. I'm not gonna run the soaker hose too close to those because the lilies do well here because it dries out here pretty well. So that's the beauty of a soaker hose. You can place it where you need it. There's some Monarda here that'll benefit from it. I've got an Atlas rose that I didn't cover over the winter and should have, so that's just trying to come back. There's more salvia, dahlias. I've got a perennial hibiscus. This is Summer Storm, I believe. Yeah, so I am gonna get this into place. There's some banana cream, Shasta daisies here. Just start winding it around this area and give everything a good drink, because it definitely, I mean, you can already see how dry it is in here. I did water here a couple days ago, so there is a little bit, it looks like it's a little wet, but it's bone dry. First off, I need to disconnect this hose and relocate it to this side because I want to put my timer on this side and have it situated so that it's the connection for the extension hose that's going to connect onto the soaker hose. It's all in the same direction. If I put it on this side like that, the hose will be coming out and going in that direction, and I want it to go in that direction. All right, so I'm just going to disconnect it. Now this is going to be the tricky part, is fishing this behind all of this and through the fence on the other side of this giant arborvitae, which was the very first thing I ever planted in this garden, and it's massive. But I'm gonna have to sneak, I feel like I'm wrestling a snake or something here. So I've got to bring it through this little gap here, and that's going to be interesting. See if I can pull it through so that I can bring the hose that way and start placing my soaker. Ta-da! This little area in here is where I'm going to start it, because I've got a dahlia that starts here and then a whole bunch of them that go around this trellis screening that I have. And I put the trellis screening up specifically to camouflage the air conditioner, and it works great. And I think the dahlias will get even taller this year with a little bit of help from the soaker hose. So I've got the end of it here on this side. I'm going to connect my soaker hose now. And this is a 50-footer. And I will have all the links for everything I'm using today in the caption below, so you can check that out if you're interested in any of these products. The tricky thing is going to be making sure I'm not decapitating any of the plants that are coming up by dragging this hose around. So let's see if we can unravel this a little bit here. So now my hose is connected, and I'm going to use these landscape fabric staples or pins. You can get these at any big box store, just so that it helps me anchor the soaker hose in place, and I can put it exactly where I want it to be. All right, so you can see I've got all of my tubing in place, and the most challenging part was uncoiling it, and I probably should have laid it out in the sun for a little while to loosen it up, but I got the job done. I double wrapped it around a rose here, which is very thirsty. This is an Atlas rose that really struggled last year, so I have it around here really well, but I've managed to run it along the outside of like my dahlias here, a hibiscus. There's another dahlia, but it's kind of woven all the way through and held in place with the landscape staples. But I should have gone with a longer staple. These I think are 3-inch staples. I would have, if you can get a 5 or a 6-inch, that would be even better. But let's see if we can fire this up and see how it goes. Let's just set it for a few minutes. Turn it on, and hopefully it'll start dripping. And it works. And what's nice about this is there won't be any runoff, because it'll slowly drip into the soil, and all of the moisture will be absorbed by these plants. So I won't have any runoff coming into my flagstones, which I need to clean up, but everything's dripping really well. So I've got my timer set for 30 minutes, and this notch aligns with the time. And what you do is, if you're gonna set the timer, let me shut this off. If you're gonna reset it, all you're gonna do is push it in and adjust to the time that you want, and then it starts ticking away. So it's a very simple operation. I'm gonna bring it back to where I was, turn it back on, and let it work. Pretty simple solution to a watering issue. So all I need to do now is just kind of tuck the feeder hose back here, kind of camouflage it a little bit, and everything is running smoothly. I got it going around all my dahlias. So I was able to position the hose near the root zones of all the plants that I wanted watered well. And I was able to also avoid the plants that I don't want overwatered, like the lilies and the Nephofia. Too much water can cause some issues for those guys. So I was able to just move it around, and you can see kind of double wrapped it around plants that need a little extra moisture that were struggling. The dahlias are going to have plenty, the hibiscus. Everything's looking good. And the last step will be mulch. I have a big load of mulch coming in a couple days. I'll be able to mulch right over the soaker hose, and it'll handle weed suppression, watering, water conservation. The mulch will prevent it from evaporating too quickly, and it'll just be less work for me, and it'll be a very water-wise way of managing the garden. So the next project is tackling mulch, and I've got a huge truckload of mulch coming in a couple days, and that's going to be a huge job. But that'll go right over the soaker hose. It'll be as though the soaker hose doesn't even exist, and it'll help me manage weeds and conserve water, and less work for me because I won't have to be standing out here hand watering things for this area. And this is the hottest part of my garden, so it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. And if you like this video, guys, please toss me a like. Subscribe would be fantastic. I'd love to have you along. And if you never want to miss a post, hit that little bell and YouTube will alert you when I have a new video up. All right, guys, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.